I'd like to ask, what specific initiatives can the private sector be part of in addressing the water crisis?
So private sector, what specific initiatives can the private sector involve themselves in to address the private?
Very simple, use less water. Reduce your water footprint.
Bathe less. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure that doesn't mean bathe less, right, sir? So that's
no,
one.
but seriously speaking, I think the private sector has a huge role to play in demonstrating that we can use water far more efficiently than we are using it today. For instance, just this morning I was reading a report in yesterday's Financial Times about drip and sprinkler irrigation systems having taken on in a big way in India, and huge efficiency gains coming in between 30 and 60% in terms of reduction in the volume of water being used. And this is being driven entirely by the private sector. And again, it's become already in the space of 3 years $1 billion a year industry in India. Why can't we upscale this to the $53 billion that McKinsey speaks about in the next 5 years instead of the next 20 years? It can happen, but the private sector must be willing to put its best feet forward and take this challenge. In your own businesses, I think you've got to be extremely conscious of returning the water that you use back to nature's hydrologic cycle. If you can do that, you're really demonstrating the way for all of us to be a lot more efficient in shrinking our water footprint.
Thank you. Thanks for that question. One more? We'll wait. I have a question, but this is rather personal, and it might not be a very intelligent question.
Go on.
Can you deal with that? Okay, cool. I always hear from environmental activists that golf is an enemy of water for many reasons. I'm just curious. I know it's very urgent and it's very pressing. There's a need to have that urgency shared throughout the world about conserving water. Do people in ADB play golf?
Of course we play golf. Don't you play golf? I'm sure
I play golf. This is why it's my question. But how do we address that? I mean, do we ignore that? Is there a compromise? Is there, because...
Let me give you an example, very, very interesting. There is this tourist zone, if you like, on the island of Bali called Nusa Dua. Nusa Dua has a closed-loop water management system. And this is a private initiative, and this responds actually to the first question also partially. The Nusa Dua closed-loop water management system actually takes all the wastewater from all of the tourist, commercial, and light industrial establishment on the island, cycles it back, sells it back for golf courses, public gardens, for the hotel's own use, and so on, and actually makes a couple of $1 million in the bargain every year. Okay, so, and this is something that will have to catch on. It's beginning to happen in Vietnam, it's happening in Thailand, it's happening in China. Indonesia is where Nusa Dua is. So I think there is a lot of demonstration. Why can't we scale this up again? Wastewater management systems are already being run in closed loops in large parts of the developed world. Why can't we bring them here? That is the future of water on our continent.
Thank you. Hello. Yeah, hi, sir. I'm Lorna Lopez from First Carbon Solutions, and I have a question for you. I know that the ADB has been funding or is planning to fund projects for the CDM on renewable energy, and I was wondering if you have similar projects planned or similar projects to fund regarding water accessibility, urban water treatments, recycling, or plans for reduction in use, whether in the Philippines or in the region?
Yes, certainly. As I said, the next challenge in Asia is going to be dealing with our wastewater. So wherever you can invest in wastewater, in Bangkok, for example, in Thailand, less than 30% of all of Bangkok's wastewater, and I'm talking about a metropolitan area that's similar in size to Metro Manila, less than 30% of their wastewater is treated. And even when it's treated, it is basically discharged into the klongs in and around Bangkok. And so the Bangkok Metropolitan Administration has now designed an investment program multi-billion-dollar program to build a series of 13 treatment plants based on the decentralized wastewater management model, which will be up for investment by various parties. And ADB, for example, is going to tie up with other partners to make sure that these investments happen, because wastewater must be managed a lot more efficiently, simply because Metro Manila, for example, here in the Philippines, Bangkok in the case of Thailand, contribute between 30 and 40% of the country's GDP. So certainly we will be there.
Okay, so that's a good start. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir. Oh, sorry. It's all right. Let's let the lady go first, and then you, and then we'll wrap up.
Good morning. I'm Chat Ocampo of Monsanto, Philippines. There are many agricultural companies, if not most agricultural companies, are doing research on crops that promote sustainable agriculture. You know, more crop for less drop of water. Now, I want to know, what's the single most important public policy that must be in place to support all these initiatives to conserve our water resources?
You have to have a water law, and a unified water law which really brings together every aspect of water resources management. Water is a local issue. Water must be managed at local levels, but every country must have a unified water law that, that sets standards for water management, and preferably, in our view, at river basin level, because that is nature's way of providing us with this life-sustaining resource. If you have a water law, the Philippines has the Clear Water Act 2003 or 2004, if I'm not mistaken. Thailand has its own set of water laws. Indonesia has its own. Vietnam has recently tightened up its water legislation. If you have these laws at federal level, at central level, and with connections down to districts, towns, and barangays in the case of the Philippines, for example, decentralized, then you have the framework, the legal framework, the regulatory framework for managing your water resources efficiently. You still may not be able to manage those resources efficiently. Case in point being water quality enhancement. We simply are unable to enforce our water laws when it comes to maintaining the healthy rivers or healthy lakes in our countries. It's a big problem in China, for instance. China has got some of the toughest water laws in Asia, but China has got the largest problems with regard to water quality in terms of pollution of its surface water bodies. So, in a nutshell, you must have a very tough set of unified water laws at national level.